bull gives you wings. What's up, ballers? It's Preachy, and I'm doing this one in retaliation. Well, not retaliation, but you guys were absolutely awesome on the last video we did, which was What's That Mod, and it was about Reforgenator. But you also were big time fans of another add-on called Reforgelite. And you're like, Preachy, check this bad boy out, see what you think, let us know what you think. So what the hell, if the ballers request it, you know I'm going to do it. That's right, so I've installed Reforgelite. The first thing I want to point out about Reforgelite is I could not find it. I was looking around, I was like, have I got it installed? What the hell? I even went to interface, add-ons, Reforgelite, not there. So I logged out, and yes, it's selected, it's switched on. I'm like, what the hell? And then it came to me, oh, Preachy, you massive scrub. Why don't you go to the Reforger and see what happens? So before we get into that, I've got Reforgenator installed as well. Boom, boom, boom. This character has got some glods, so I can play around. This is my pally. Now, I know my pally cannot quite reach the block cap just yet. He's in some pretty mishmash gear. He's got some 359 dripping on him, so 353. So he's okay. 372 there. He's got some heroic lava spine because he's an absolute gangster. Love my pally. But he's generally, you know, he's pretty averagely geared. There's nothing special there. I like to focus on retribution a little bit for this guy. So I know I cannot reach the Reforge cap. Now, one of the things you guys were big on with Reforgenator is that it kept playing around with your tank stats a lot and healer stats. DPSs were generally okay, but still had some queries. But healers and the tanks were definitely thinking, this is a bit strange. Reforgenator definitely gave the block tanks block cap. That worked exactly right. It did it in slightly different manners. And for some, it actually worked out beneficial. Like warriors got slightly more parry than they did dodge for the hold the line talent and still reach their block cap. Pallies were questioning a little bit. One thing I want to stress about Reforge add-ons mainly, guys, is if you're a healer, don't trust Reforge add-ons at all. Reforge add-ons are great for DPSs. They're okay for tanks in general, but for healers, it's all down to picking whether or not you're actually using that kind of stuff in the encounter. In fact, healers can reforge on an encounter-to-encounter basis. The add-ons tend to push you heavily towards spirit, and as most of you top geared healers know, if you've got in sort of you're looking for raid tiers and above, is that you can finish a fight relatively easily spamming with full mana or as if really high mana, in which case you've got too much spirit and you can afford to put some more investment into haste and mastery and really build up those stats so the heals you are casting are doing a lot more and your mana is still lasting to the end of the fight. That's the ideal. So healers, it's always going to come down to a personal choice. Let's talk at Resto Shamans. Their mastery really kicks into high gear when the raid is always low on health. So if you've got a fight where there's tons of AoE damage going on, the raid is never really full health, mastery is going to shine like a total boss in those moments. But otherwise, you're going to maybe look to a bit more haste because, you know, you need to pick and top off people really quickly. That kind of situation always comes in with healers. So if you are a healer, go ahead and trust your instincts. Get as much spirit as you need. And after that, go into looking to buffing other stats. That's fine. No problem there at all. So I've picked a tank because the tanks were the one who were the big queries. So let's open it up and be prepared to be spammed. Boom. Here is Reforgelite. So we can already say, in comparison to Reforgenator, well, that says it all, doesn't it? This window is obviously a lot more technical than this window, which is Paladin Protection, Reforge for anything, Reforge for raiding, boom, 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 boom. It tells me all this stuff to Reforge. That's cool. Reforgelite, however, has all sorts of other options. And now, the reason for these other options, I've done my homework, which you expect me to do, is purely for the fact that you can change the stat weights if the add-on hasn't been appropriately updated. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to restore everything so we get a full idea of what actually happens with this. Yeah, they put in the stat weights on Reforgelite so you can change them manually. Now some of you are going to be saying, Preach, what the fuck is a stat weight, man? And you'd be right in thinking so. This is one of the annoying things about reforging, and one of the things that I felt was very counterproductive to removing stats like armor penetration and all that stuff. Essentially, Blizzard had this idea, which was, hey, we don't want people fannying around with their add-ons and maths forever to work out what's best. And then they go ahead and put reforging in and just totally counteract all that. They wanted people just to pick up a new item, say, oh, that's higher item level, that should be better for me. But they didn't. And then they introduced Reforging, which opened a whole can of worms. I saw some of you in the comments were actually like, why do you need a Reforge add-on? Fact of the matter is, getting really perfectly reforging is almost impossible. Simple as it's almost impossible to get perfectly there. It really is, and I've spent many hours before add-ons like this existed, especially on my Death Knight, trying to work out exactly what was perfect, and it took me ages. In fact, one of the big things I pointed out in Reforgenator, that video, is that we generally see a lot of stuff based on the best in slot gear setups. Now, they're almost impossible to achieve as well. Let's face facts, they are. Very few of us actually get the opportunity to be gear capped. It happens very rarely. Even with guilds farming the end bosses for months and months, that item just might not drop, simple as, and therefore those reforged stats can be a little bit misleading in getting us the exact optimal DPS stats. We're not bothered. We're not going to lose too much, guys, if we don't use a reforge add-on, or we don't put hours of maths into it, or even spend 45 minutes reforging stuff. What you will do is lose a lot of gold trying to find out, which is just wasted gold. And it will also just rack your brain trying to reach little stat caps. And then eventually you'll just go, if that looks okay, I'm just going to leave it alone. Reforging optimally might give you just that extra bit of DPS that you're really looking for. It might give you that really perfect way of setting up your tank. Now, I did this on a tank, and I'm going to do this on a tank in a moment. But I want you to be aware that tanking stats change on an encounter-to basis also. So I'm actually going to do this on my Warlock as well. I'm going to show you how this thing works. It's pretty cool, actually. You could do a preset. It's a little drop-down menu here. You could drop a preset. So we would go to Paladin and Protection. Now, there's various little options in here, like this Fury, Single-Minded or Titan's Grip. There's Death Knight Frost, and it does include dual-wielding and two-handed. It does not include Master Frost, for those of you who know what that is. The Priests have got some various options. You've got some custom ones as well. Feral's got Cat and Bear. Rogues have tier 12 and tier 13 as their set bonuses do have a dramatic effect on how they use their stats, which is fine. Hunters also have various stuff. The two marksmanship specs, whether you're going arcane shot or aim shot, and survival. Other than that, there aren't as many presets as I saw in Reforgenator. That's just a straight up fact. If we were just to pick, oh, I can't choose other classes. Well, never mind. But there were more options, presets in the Reforgenator add-on. They were there. That's one thing to note. Now, this thing I actually think is very cool. You could choose what raid buffs you will have, and it will take those into account. So, will you have the all stats buff in your raid? Yes, I will. Will you have a strength agility buff in your raid? Yes, I will. Horn of Winter, etc, etc. Battle Shout, strength agility. Will you have a flask on? So you will either be taking a potion of mastery or a 300 strength. Other than that, you might be thinking, but the tank flask is health. Well, health is certainly not going to affect your reforging in any manner at all. That's why it's not listed. Things that will affect your reforging are having more strength or having more mastery. So let's say we're just gangsters and we roll in with the health one. So we leave that as no flask. Which food will you be eating is this one here. If we're going to be using it from the table that's put down by the raid, we're going to have 90 dodge rating, okay? Now, it takes into account these buffs. I love that. I think that is awesome. I actually think that is fantastic. Another thing you can do is you can lock items that you don't want to reforge. You just click them. I really don't see the point in that. If you're going to reforge optimally, why would you not reforge everything? Blah, blah, blah. Now, we can then go ahead and we click calculate, and the add-on will lag your screen like a total gangster, and it will work out what your stats should be if you reforge. And it gives you a kind of theoretical score. It's got like a score here. Best result is we can give you an extra 462 score. Whatever the hell that means, I don't know. It's just irrelevant. Score is pointless. We don't care whatsoever. What it will tell you is your stats. So it will give you a dodge chance of 13%, a higher parry chance, a nice big fat block chance, and your total block will be 94.46. I'm really happy with that. What I'm not seeing is the 5% chance for bosses to miss. So that will actually be 99.46 block table coverage. It may be built in there somewhere. I couldn't find any reference to it. So if you guys do know that, then please go ahead and post in the comments and I will upvote it so the guys can see that. But if you're playing a tank and you're using an add-on like this, I don't see the 5% chance that bosses have to naturally miss you. If you're not aware of that, they do. They have a 5% chance to naturally miss you. And then that has to be taken into account with this block table coverage. So that, I think, is going to actually give me 99.46% block table coverage. Now, this is cool, and some of you said this is the main reason you like this. There's all this crap going on here. What you actually want to do is go ahead and click show, and it tells you what it's going to do. it's going to reforge that parry to dodge, parry to dodge, parry to... so you might say, well, it's giving me a higher than normal parry chance. Shouldn't I be trying to balance them? You can see it's actually trying to get rid of as much parry as possible. It just so happens that the gear I'm wearing can't really get rid of that much. And then you go ahead and do this. It's going to cost me 237 glods. Cool, go. And it does it all automatically for you. It will take a few seconds, but it's going to go ahead and reforge all my items automatically. My hands are off the screen. You can see I'm moving my mouse. I'm not doing anything. It does it all for you. Look, it's flicking through. Blah, 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 blah. And then it goes ahead and says, okay, we've done it all. Can't reforge anymore. Psh, fine. Awesome. That's Reforgelite, guys. That's how it works. It looks a lot more complicated. In fact, you have some various settings down here. Open windows when reforging. Target level is 3 levels above you. That's what level the boss will be, okay, guys? If you're not sure how that works, is a skull level boss is always 3 levels above you, okay? It's always 3 levels above whatever your level might be. If that mob has a skull on it, that's what it means. Very, very easy. So you've got all these options, but they're nothing too tricky whatsoever. And if you want to play around with your stats, you can do that, okay? You can play around with it. Now, import pawn string, I'm not really sure what that is. I've got to be honest. That seems like it's getting a bit fidgety. It's probably saving someone, exporting a Reforged setting to a website and importing it to your friends and stuff like that, or maybe something that's coming off the website. But for the basics of people just installing this add-on, that's really cool. So I should have a 94, I'm going to say 94, just in case that 5% is built in here somewhere. I don't think it is. I should be pretty much block table covered there with the best defensive stats I can possibly get. I did like that it reforged all the way my expertise and hits. That's correct. In fact, I'm down to 4 expertise. That's cool. I'm more than happy with that. And the reforging looks pretty good. If I was to click Reforgelite, however, it gives me different settings to go. Completely different. It swaps my hit to mastery on there, minus hit and plus mastery. And it tells me to do various things. So if we open my character up here, you can see on there it's reforged my parry to mastery, and this one it's getting my hit to mastery, so I would maintain that level of parry. It's then going haste to mastery on this item here, where we went crit to mastery, so it would have given me slightly more mastery. But it's then going to reset this. All in all, it's going to give me a bit more parry back. I'm going to lose a little bit of dodge. The difference is infinitesimal. It really is. The difference is totally infinitesimal when we go through all this stuff. If I was to do all this, I would still end up pretty much the same. So I'm going to look at my Warlock, because that's one that interested me the most. So we're going to log out of that one. And I'm going to jump over to Xavius. Log on the old Warlock there. Looking badass in his looking for raid gear. Oh yeah. This is where you can all get laughs, because I have no idea where the Reforger is in Stormwind. I'm sure I'll find him. But so far, I like Reforgelite. I wouldn't pick it over purely because of the automation feature. If we're in a situation where we're picking an add-on based on how lazy we can be, I mean, come on, this thing's working it out for us. But on that tanking one, I know some guys were very dubious about the tanking add-on in the past. They were like, well, I'm getting this sort of result and that sort of result. The difference between the two on tanking, which is one of the trickiest ones to do, was really infinitesimal. It was minute. And both were getting me pretty much to the block cap, which is the important part, is we want to be block capped. So on that front, the difference between the two was minor. I'm going to jump into the Reforger there. I'm sure he is. Okay. So I'm currently spec Demonology. Hopefully, Reforgenator says I'm absolutely fine. Reforgenator says I'm really cool. Everything is gravy with your character. We're just going to check a quick one, which is my Mastery. My most powerful stat as Demonology Warlock, and that's at 19.7, and my hit chance is 17.09, which is the other most powerful stats. Those are the only two I care about, really. So now I'm going to go ahead and open Reforgelite. So I'm going to drop down my presets. I'm going to go to my Warlock and say I am Demonology. Okay. I'm going to ignore this screen. In fact, can we minimize it? No, we can't. So it's told me my hit cap. Go ahead and calculate. I've used the preset. So this says it's going to give me an extra 5, 8, 20 score. Magic score rating. Okay, cool. So show it. It's going to do all these reforges here. Let's reforge. Go for it, baby. Show me the magic. So it's reforging essentially everything here. It's really looking out to it. Are we done? I wish it gave a message to say the reforges were done. That would be awesome. Okay. So my mastery is 19.75 and it's got my hit chance to 17.00. That is so tinily better. Oh my god. Wow, guys, the arguments, I will let this rage in the comments. The difference is so ridiculously minor, but that is a slight DPS increase, probably. Maybe. I mean, all it seems to have done, in fact, if I kind of want to switch back just to see what the haste and crit values were. Wow, that's small. Oh, that is a thin dick. That's what that is. What was our crit chance? I could do with a piece of paper and a pen. I really could, to work out the difference between these two. I just don't have one to hand. Let's see if I can put it in /say. So crit 16.46 and haste 12.66. Now I'm going to keep those two because the mastery is changed by 0.05 and the hit's changed by about the same. So I'm going to go to the Reforger and see what I lost in the other stats to reach those values. Go away, Reforgelite. So we want to go haste to hit on this one. Boots, crit to mastery. Okay, bear with me while I do this. I just want to do an accurate comparison between the two. I think that's important, is to do the both. Haste to crit on the braces. It's very minor. It's hardly changing anything. It's just found something that it thinks is slightly better. Reset the shoulders and reset my wand. Okay. Okay. So again, we've gone back the 0.05 and we gained the 0.09 on our hit chance. What's our hit crit? Crit chance is 17.68. Wow, that's a larger increase, isn't it? That's almost. Ooh. And our haste 10.95 to 12.66. Jeez. So the other spec gave me slightly more haste and a fairly more or less crit. That's where the big difference was, which are in the two less than interesting stats. Let's face facts. Haste and crit are the weaker stats of this spec, and those are the ones that change dramatically. I have to suspect, though, my gut feeling is this Reforgenator has actually given me probably more DPS. 0.05 mastery is not going to add up to an extra % of crit and an extra % of haste. It's even more than that, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's like 1.5% haste, and yeah, definitely, really is. Okay, so my crit dropped. I got 1% crit and 1.5% haste for gaining a 0.09 and 0.05 mastery. I suspect, guys, that this Reforgenator is actually better for me on this Warlock, and you guys can argue that down below. But with looking at those figures, but we're talking miniature figures, absolutely miniature figures, really, really minute, tiny figures difference. But I suspect Reforgenator is just giving me more DPS. I really do. I've got more haste. I've got more crit by clear percentages. Mastery there dropped by only 0.05. I did get some slightly wasted hit in 0.09, almost a tenth of a wasted bit of hit. But I suspect Reforgenator is giving more DPS there. So you guys can argue that down in the comments. So I just wanted to show you the comparison between the two. Reforgelite seems more complicated, and I could certainly probably play around with these stats a little bit. But you can see the comparison here. Mastery is worth 160. Haste is worth 140, 120. There's not a huge difference. Mastery is certainly better, especially with the Moonwell Chalice build that I'm using. A lot of the demo locks will know what I'm talking about with the Moonwell Chalice setup. But I would certainly suggest that Reforgelite gave me slightly less potential DPS. But potential DPS. If I was to miss a Hand of Gul'dan at some point, I would lose any benefit of either add-on. So, in summary, as you guys have requested, they're both pretty decent. Simple as. In fact, the only thing I would care about more is which add-on is being updated faster. And at the moment, that is Reforgenator. Reforgelite has the option to edit your stats here. You can change your values here should something come up, and that gives them a chance to build it into the add-on straight away. So if you wanted to test something that was theoretically better, let's say you're a big follower of the math forums, and you were all about, wow, there's some theory going on, like Master Frost for Frost DKs. It doesn't matter if you don't know what I'm talking about. But on the forums, they're saying, this is potentially more DPS if we do this. Which was generally saying, let's just suppose, I'll give you an example in this case. Someone on the forum says, yo, guys, I've just worked out that if we go really heavy haste in endgame gear and drop our mastery, we actually get more DPS. So in here we could go, well, let's put haste at 160 and put our mastery at 140 and then click calculate. I'm going to get a whole different set of variables working around that fact just by changing these values. Reforgenator tends to wait till a theory is proven, which is always important, is to wait till a theory is proven and then go ahead and implement it straight into the add-on. I was seeing daily updates on this add-on when theory was being changed on the forums and confirmed as being changed. But if you want to test something out, definitely this Reforgelite is the choice for you. If you want something just to be quick and easy, I would still go with Reforgelite. I would, because this preset of just clicking a Demonology Warlock, yep, that resets the values if I do that, and just clicking Automate, Show, Reforge, and Go. It's pretty good. Let's not cut the crap. The fact that it'll do it automatically is a benefit, but it's minor. But if I was seriously hardcore about my Warlock DPS, I'm going to stick with Reforgenator because I have a pretty good, solid, good feeling that that gives me more potential DPS. So I can leave you none the wiser, like an absolute gangster. I'm not going to give you the answer because, quite frankly, there isn't one. They're both pretty close. I would say that if you're a healer, use your gut instinct. If you've got enough spirit to last you the fight, that's all the spirit you need. Now it's time to invest more into mastery, more into haste, depending on your class. For tanks, Reforgelite seems pretty good, and Reforgenator seems both pretty good as well. What can I say? I'll leave you there, guys. Both add-ons pretty decent. I'm happy with them both. I would wait to see until Mr. Pandaria comes out to see which add-on is actually maintained properly, okay? I'm going to go ahead and leave you with this, because it always looks awesome. Yeah! You have a good night, guys. I'll see you later.